But now let's see, we're on board with Dungeon now, as he's now on his lap, as he now comes through the second chicane, and he takes a lot of this curb there. That was a very nice line through there, and into this corner, he goes a bit deep there, and that's going to compromise his exit. And that's the Ferrari of SOT just behind him. It looks like he's caught up to him a little bit. But we're going to see now as he comes into the final sector, and he takes a bit of curb down into the final chicane. He rides over the curb completely. But what is this going to be? And it's a 106.6 for Dungeon, and SOT behind him, a few tenths behind. So it is looking like a very good lap for Dungeon so far, and Alan 1 second behind Dungeon. So Dungeon looking to be in a league of his own, as speed in the second Alpine does a 7.5. Dungeon on another lap, 19.6 first sector, that's yellow sector, but it's still looking like a pretty good lap so far. And coming into the hairpin, he takes the late apex there and gets a good exit out of that corner. But yeah, now he uses it into the second chicane here, flat out, and using all of the track there, and into this corner he actually cuts the curb quite a lot there. I don't see a lot of drivers doing that. But what is this second sector going to be? It's a 33.4 purple sector 2. That's a very good time from him. You can see how much Dungeon is pushing, and through the final chicane, and oh, he cops over the curb completely, unsettled the car. But that is an improvement from Dungeon. But I think he can do even better with a few mistakes in that final sector. And Jerry goes up to P8 with a 108.3, so he's getting warmed up. But yeah, Pip, he keeps it nice and tidy. We haven't seen him make too many mistakes so far. And let's see if he's going to be able to get onto the front row or onto pole position. Now up to the line, is it going to be a good time? And he goes up to P2 with a 106.8. So that's a very good time for him. So Weissai, on his first proper lap, he's invalidated all the other laps so far. But that's a very bad line into the final chicane there. That's going to cost him a lot of time. And it's only P6 for the Ferrari driver. It's not looking too good for him, but the gaps are looking pretty close, as you see Matt in the Haas go up to P9. And the gaps are very close right now, only 1 second from P2 to P13, but Dungeon just looks to be a bit too far out of reach for Pip. He's going to be looking to get another win, and he looked to having some pretty good pace from his previous hot laps I've seen him do in practice. But let's see, is he going to be able to replicate that success here in the real session? Let's see now, into the final sector, into the final few corners here. Is he going to be able to dethrone Dungeon from pole position? That was a good line through the final chicane, but is that going to be improvement? Yes, it is, a 106.7, but he's not enough to dethrone Dungeon, only 1/10 away from him. But let's see, what is his second sector? It's a 33.6, and that's the same sector 2 as Beastivar, so he's looking like a pretty decent lap so far. Is he going to be able to make it onto the front row now? Let's see, and that is an improvement, a 106.8, just ahead of Pip, a few thousandths ahead of him. But now the gaps in the top 5 are looking pretty close right now. His sector 2 is a 33.6, so he's on a similar lap time to Thax, it seems. And can he get into the 106s just like the top 4? And that was a very big moment during the final chicane, and that's going to cost him a lot of time. And it's only P8 for speed, and that was a big mistake in the final chicane. And how much time did that cost him? It must have been at least 2/10. A very strong performance from the top 4 drivers, all of them getting into the 106s, but Dungeon takes his 3rd pole position in a row, and Beastivar lines up in P2 with Thax rounding out the top 3. And it's 5 lights out for the French Grand Prix. Dungeon off the line getting a good start, and he's leading the way, but Beastivar putting alongside him as well into the first few corners, but Thax also getting a good start. But it looks like Dungeon has pulled out a bit of a gap through the first 2 corners. And let's see now, Beastivar and Thax, still side by side, and Pip in the racing point also looking to get into the action, but Ferrari of SOT into the hairpin, looking down the inside to get the move done on them. But looks like Dungeon has compromised his line through there slightly, but I don't think he has. But Thax It looks like he's fallen down a few positions. He started in P3, but he's now side by side with Beastover, and he goes a bit wide through the hairpin there, and that's going to cost his exit speed. And through the first 3 corners, it looks like Dungeon is extending his gap there, a 2/10 gap from him to Beastover, and it looks like that gap is extending more and more. But the battle for P2 is still ongoing, as we now have Beastover and Thax are battling it out. But it looks like SOT has fallen down a few positions as well. But the battle for P2, we have like 4 wide here into the final chicane. But Beastover, it looks like he had a bit of a moment there into the final into the chicane. But at the end of lap 1, Dungeon a 1-second gap to the rest of the field. But now Beastover, he's still fending off the Ferrari duo, and it looks like the gap between him and Whiteside is coming down as Thax gets a huge slide out of the final chicane, and oh, that's the racing point. And who was that? That's Pip. And that was almost his race over. He could have easily lost a wheel there, but he keeps it going, and he's lost a huge amount of time down in P14, 10 seconds away from the lead. So his chances of getting a victory are now over. And oh, Dungeon, he gets a bump through the first 3 corners, and that's going to unsettle the car, and that's going to allow Beastover to put alongside him. But is Beastover going to be able to get the overtake done? Does he get DRS? No, he doesn't. I don't think he does. But Beastover, he's now side by side with Dungeon coming into the hairpin, and he's going to be the last of the late breakers. No, he isn't. But on the exit, he goes for the switchback, and he gets the power down nice and early, and they are still neck and neck as they come into the first chicane. The gap is only 2/10 between the Red Bull and the Alpine, and now into the hairpin. Dungeon going a bit wide, and that's a track limit penalty for Dungeon, and that's going to bring him into the clutches of the Ferraris. SOT and Whiteside are going to be looking to get the overtake done on Dungeon as well. So if Dungeon makes a few more mistakes, that's going to be him out of the podium. Oh, and Dungeon now into the pit lane. So is the track ready for Inter? We're going to see now Dungeon onto another set of soft tires, so he doesn't think that it's going to get wet enough for dry tires, or wet enough for Inters, I should say, sorry. But Dungeon is now coming out of the pits behind the McLaren. Is that the McLaren of Moto? Yes, it is. So Dungeon in P6 or P7. So he's gonna hope the track doesn't get too wet. Maybe we're gonna see a few of the other drivers pit, as we see Beastover getting a bit of a slide out of the first chicane. Beastover, he comes in for another set of slicks, presumably. And let's see now, they both come in. And Beastover, what's he going to go on to? SOT. Beastover goes on to Inters. So that's a very strange choice. Does SOT go on to Inters? No, he doesn't. SOT goes on to a set of softs. He was on the mediums previously. So we're seeing a differ in strategy. Beastover hoping it's going to get wet enough for the Inters. But we're going to see if this gamble is going to pay off for him. So we're seeing a big difference in strategy here. But Dungeon into the wall there. And he keeps his front wing. But that's a big mistake from the Alpine driver. And that's going to drop him down behind Whiteside, and he's like going to be under pressure from SOT in the Ferrari as well. So are we going to see any more drivers pit for Inters? No, we're not. Everyone else staying out, but Beastover, it looks like Beastover is losing out more and more time to the drivers on slicks. So that may not have been the correct decision. And Moto, he lost the lead from... Oh, what's happened to Dungeon? Oh, Dungeon's gone to Inters. So Dungeon making the decision to go to Inters. So that means Beastover's call to go for the Inters was the correct decision. So maybe the Ferrari drivers are going to brave it out on slick tires, because I don't think the rain is increasing that much. But Whiteside going onto the Inters, and is he going to come out behind Beastover? Yes, he is. So Beastover making a huge call to go for the intermediate tires early, and that's going to pay off for him massively. And SOT, this might be a genius call for SOT, because he's used mediums and softs. He can go onto another set of softs, and that might be a good strategy call from SOT, not using the Inters. Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting strategy, because Beastover, he's on the Inters currently. He might be able to stay out for the rest of the race on them, but it's going to be very tight. And Beastover's pitting for another set of slick tires. So this is very interesting here. SOT just pitted for another set of slick tires as well. So SOT might have pulled off a masterclass here, not going on the Inters and braving it out on the dry tires. So is Dungeon going to come in? Yes, he is. Dungeon on the Inters. He's going to go onto the soft tires, and he's going to come out behind both of them. So SOT now into the lead after a masterclass strategy. SOT has played this perfectly. And 9/10 from Dungeon to SOT, and again Dungeon gets through for P2, but on the exit Beastover is gonna try to fight back, but he's not able to. Dungeon gets the power down nice and early, and he's up into P2, and he's gonna be looking to get up into P1 as well, as YSI gets a huge moment there, and he cuts the corner completely. But he takes a track limit penalty there, but SOT is going to have to do everything possible to get his first race win here on AWC, and he cuts the finish again there. That's going to be a track limit one for him. If he gets another one of them, that's going to be his race over. Yeah, I saw SOT cut, but now as we come on out of turn 3 and onto the DRS straight, it's going to be Dungeon versus SOT for P1. Neither of them get DRS. Beastover behind does get DRS. It's going to be a 3-way battle for P1 as they come into the hairpin. But Dungeon, he might be on those fresher tires, and those fresher tires might be helping him out here at the latter stages of the race. But SOT, he's taking very nice lines through there, but Dungeon, he's now side by side with SOT coming out of the hairpin now. Only 2 sectors to go and now into the chicane. But Dungeon, he gets the overtake done for P1 with only 1 sector to go. And now SOT is going to have to defend from Beastover. And it's all or nothing for SOT. Is he going to risk it into the final corner? Well, let's see now. It's been an epic battle for Dungeon, and he's going to take his second race win here in AWC. And SOT just misses out on the victory. That was an incredible battle from the top 3 there. But YSI, he finishes it in P4, and Thax rounds out the top 5. An incredible battle between the top 3 drivers, all of them separated by less than a second. But Dungeon takes his second win in a row this season, and with that he extends his lead in the Drivers' Championship. But as we take a look to the Constructors' Championship, it's Ferrari who moved back up into P1 after Racing Point had a terrible race this weekend, with Pip not even scoring any points, and they moved down 2 positions into P3. But that's all for this race here in France. Join us next time for the race in Mexico.